Thank you for coming back, and we are starting now with the third webinar of this morning. Time just flew by, I think. Everything has been so interesting, I really couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And the third speaker is not going to be very different, guys. The first time I saw Florian, he was the master of ceremony in a conference in Madrid. And it was the morning after a very wild night. I was super asleep. But the moment this guy got on stage, that was completely forgotten. And that's the charisma you can see in Florian. He is also coming from a different career. He used to work at KPMG doing a completely different job, but then one day he joined Toastmasters and he found out that, yeah, he can do public speaking. And in the years after, we all also realized that, yes, he can do and he can teach public speaking. He's also writing another very interesting blog on his website that I really suggest you go and read. And yes, in his spare time, he also created Rethoric together with John. So we are giving you the golden couple this morning with these two speakers. Again, also during this webinar, I'm going to collect questions. So if you have questions, just write them in the chat. But I also know that Florian has something sizzling for us with more interaction during this workshop. So without further ado, let's give the virtual podium now to Florian Mück.
It was the 15th of March this year. I was going for a run, and in the center of our village, Bigues in the north, 35 kilometers in the north of Barcelona, mountainous side, countryside, there was a policeman stopping cars. He sees me, he says, "A casa!" And I said, "But the lockdown starts tomorrow." I said it in Spanish. He said, "Mañana nada, a casa." On the 15th of March, Spain followed the Italian model and we went into complete lockdown. And so did my entire business as a public speaking professional, trainer and speaker, everything gone. Who of you guys have read the book by Spencer Johnson, Who Moved My Cheese? Well, Panos, you read all books in the history of books. It's a great book. It's a fable. It's two mice and two men always go to a room and it's always full of cheese. John, it must be Swiss cheese. And so they go there and every day it's full of cheese. And one day they go there and the cheese is gone. The coronavirus, the cheese is gone. So what do the mice do, the two mice? They put on their sneakers and they run to look for new cheese. What do the two humans do? They start complaining. They took our cheese away. Somebody's fault it is that who is responsible for taking the cheese away. And so it goes on and on and on. I cut it here. On the 13th of March, 2 days before the complete lockdown, I started a 25 daily sessions on YouTube, Q&A on public speaking. And this is funny, guys, because I always said, you can never replace an offline meeting, the presential, the energy in the room. Think about your Toastmasters meetings. You can never do that. I was always the ambassador anti-online. And look at me now. Now I'm giving a webinar workshop on boosting your online charisma, because those 25 YouTube live sessions, which I recommend to everyone here, do it. It is hell on earth. Armageddon Online 2.0. But once you've done it, I tell you, you embrace this brave new online world. I started to edit videos. I do videos now. I reactivated my YouTube channel. I will do soon my first online training with the client in Munich. But the thing I've learned about online versus offline, online to me is a big surprise. A big positive surprise. And this is because of 4 places in my life and 4 places that you know so well as well. You know them very well, 4 places. If you go to these places and you do exactly the same here, you will have online charisma. So in this webinar, we visit now 4 places together. And the first place that we visit is, do you remember those days when you could go to a bar with friends? Yeah, Lisa Marie Gelhaus, you're smiling. Those were the days when you could go to a bar with friends. And you chatted with friends. You chatted about other people. You interacted with people. You chatted. The first big new thing in online is, of course, what you're doing here so well already. Here's on my right side, on your left side when I do it. It is the chat. So the first exercise, I give you now more or less 6 minutes and 23 seconds. And I want you all now to stop individual conversations between each other. And I want you to use the chat. And what I want from you in the next 6 minutes and 23 seconds, I want you to switch on your creative chip. And I want this. I want creative ideas, how to use this new super friend, the bar that you know so well, online bar. How can you use the chat more creatively? Anything goes. Write it down. When I say go, you start. And what I will do after this, I will copy paste it, put it all together and throw it all back to you at your 109 Facebook page. So go, write, anything matters. And of course, when somebody gives a tip, you can build on it and make it better. 6 minutes 23, go now. Creative ideas, how to use that new friend, the chat. Go and write it down. Amazing. You can stop here now with the first room, the bar, the chat. I will do copy paste. Caterina, can you also do copy paste of all this? And I will work on it and see how to cluster it and then throw it back at you. The chat is something you always do in your place, you know already, the bar, or that you knew before the lockdowns. That's the first place. So the chat for me has a new function. In my 25 live sessions, it was the big surprise. You can do surveys, games, gamification. The introverts, who of you here is introvert? If you don't switch on your cameras, guys, I cannot see. So Yona Margaroni, you're introvert. This is your time. This is your time, Yona, because in the chat, you can say everything you always wanted to say in those stupid meetings where you couldn't speak up. The second place of the 4 places that you know so well already. Okay, this should look better. It is very screwed up. This is my passport. And of course, every time they stop me because I think I'm a criminal when they see this image. Think about the last time you went to a photo booth to take a photo for a passport or your ID card. Think about that moment. When you were sitting in that photo booth, did you look at the curtain? Did you look at your shoes? Did you look at the legs outside below the curtain? Or did you look right into that black hole? My friends, this black hole needs your white energy. This is the only place for your cam contact. And I see now people, I see you now, I see people who put now glasses around it or put an arrow. Do you put a fucking arrow when you go to the photo booth? Sorry for the F word. You look at the camera and this is it. Yesterday I talked to our friend Tobias, also a Toastmaster, Tobias Rodriguez, great Toastmaster. We were discussing in the future there will be tracking cameras and you will have the eye contact in the future all the time. I know that. It will happen. But for the time being, this is it. And because you don't, even in our Toastmasters club, people don't look at that black hole. We do a little exercise here. I will unmute now all of you. I know it's hell on earth, but what I want you to do is now, you talk about your morning. It doesn't matter what you say. And you follow my instructions. And while you're talking, you only look at one spot This is that black hole, a big one, a small hole, but this here is the camera. And you just talk now, and then I give you instructions wherever you are. Look at that camera and start talking about your morning right now. I unmute you now.
Well, actually,
Morning all.
Good
morning.
I took my breakfast and then I started to connect to
Very
the
small for my kids.
conference. She wanted to
I have
attend John's
computer and I have
John's
When I'm
workshop.
talking,
to
go
the
closer to the camera.
Camera.
Everything is interesting and everything is very, very good.
Move through that black hole.
Florian and Caterina.
I need to see your eyes now. I want to see your eyes.
Here I am.
Go closer. This is the moment for the organizer to take nice photos.
A lot of
Okay. Everyone. Spamming anything.
I think I
I want to participate into
Talking.
I don't, but I don't know how to get rid of it.
amazing, huh? You're absolutely right. Absolutely right when you say that most of the people can't look at the backboard.
Difference between Gianluca, now you can stop talking. There's a big difference between offline and online here, because when we are offline and you don't look at me, I see where you're looking. I mean, they look at the floor, they're psychopaths who look 2 centimeters above the head. We know that, but I always know where you're looking. Here, I only see you, and I need this contact. Look at that. In the photo booth, you know how to do it. You can do it here too. The third place that I really think, and I'm convinced you know so well, is think about your last visit in an elevator. The elevator, there are 5 people in the elevator. It smells different in the elevator. Maria Refanidou, why are you laughing here? Do you have a weird smell in your nose now? So you're in this elevator. Can you move like this in an elevator? You don't, but you still move very powerfully in an elevator. Limited space. Online is limited space, but still use your gestures powerfully and you mimic. Gesture, one tip only. One tip only. I learned since the 13th of March, when I started with the YouTube live sessions, to use my gestures in a way that I replace what I used to have, the stage. So on stage, as you know, when you're an experienced speaker, we move on stage. Not all the time, that's the lion in the cage. You know that, drives an audience nuts after exactly 8.5 seconds. They want to commit suicide. Move with purpose. Now what I'm doing here already is exactly that. So I use the 3 ways I use it. I use it for timeline, I use it for structure, I use it for geography. I use my gestures to support my verbal communication. So when I say, for instance, I remember my village, Weidach in Bavaria, northern Bavaria, when I grew up. I was 8 years old. And in those days, you see how I even look holographically at my hand, which is now a symbol for my youth. But today, and how will the future look like? How does my future look like? So I replace my stage. Same thing with structure. The first point is, point number 2, point number 3. You can also do 1, 2, 3. You can be creative. There is no rule. The golden rule in rhetoric, there are no rules. And geography, if this is Barcelona, where I'm sitting right now, 35K in the north, in my lockdown still, this is Barcelona, then here would be the United States of America, and here would be Singapore, where my special rows up there in the room up there, also Toastmasters, grew up. So you can use your gestures only with that little thing. You make a huge difference. People say, yeah, I remember when I was young. In an elevator, you even use your gestures. So use it here as well, in a limited space that you have. Crazy stuff you can do. I remember when I picked the apple. Doesn't it look fabulous? I mean, you can do many things with your gestures. The fourth room, you also know so well. Do you remember those days, my friends, when it was still en vogue to go to McDonald's? I don't want to, is here anyone from McDonald's? I don't want to step on your feet, but on your toes, but I don't go to McDonald's. Panos, you're laughing. Are you still going to McDonald's? Dude, man, don't do that. But you still remember when you went with a car, those were the days when people still had cars, and went to McDonald's. Do you remember when you ordered something in a drive-through? Two cheeseburgers, one cheeseburger, two cheeseburgers, hamburger, no, cheeseburger, a big fries, small fries, big fries. Do you remember the drive-through experience when you order? I see nods here, but you know very well the drive-through and how in the end, after years of going to that place of McDonald's with the M that you cannot go there anymore, how in the end, after 3, 4, 5 years of practicing drive-through communication, how did you order in the end? I want 2 Big Mac and 3 big portions of fries. At a drive-through, you learned already in life how to speak with clarity, diction, intonation. And here, it's important offline. But here, with these microphones, I always recommend Rode. Now, Rode is so cool right now. This is Rode from Australia, and this is the Mini, and it has everything in there. 190 euros, very recommendable. But here, it is even more important to speak with clarity. It's crazy, it's like a radio speaker. And I'm from Upper Franconia, Northern Bavaria, and we speak like Andalusians. We speak like the guys from Italy down there in the booth. It's horrible for me, but we have to. So I will have a volunteer here now, and we will practice a little bit your vocal power. Now, Paula Vignola, you look like you're an amazing, hey Paula.
Hi.
Can you say something?
Yes. Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfection is the goal we never accomplish. When you switch on the thing for music, you should get it back. So Paula, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now what I want you to do is, I will show you now a quote by the amazing Mark Twain. My friends, I've been with Toastmasters for 15 years, 11 years professional. All great quotes are from Mark Twain. That's a given. So I want you to read it, and I want you, with your best vocal power, I want you to read out loud this quote, okay?
Okay.
Paula, are you ready?
Yes.
Go.
All generalizations are false, including this one.
This was already a virtual applause. That was amazing. Now, Paula, look at it again. Now I want you to use more the consonants, more emphasis, more power. Read it again.
Okay. All generalizations are false, including this one.
Okay, and now you do exactly the same. That was amazing, Paula. You do an amazing job. Amazing. Now I want you to say the same thing, but the last this, I really want you to shoot the TH, this, through the camera into their faces.
All generalizations are false, including this one.
Oh man, Amazing. Thank you so much. Then I have another volunteer that was amazing.
Thank you.
I need another volunteer. Just a second. I go to another screen. Now you switched on your, now this is like table topics. I love it. And here you have no chance whatsoever to know who I'm going to pick. You're even Vasiliki. You even want to, but then it's boring. Okay, now let's take a man. What about Andy Barbiero? El Barbiero de Sevilla. Okay, here we are. Andy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the next one is, he's my new big thing. I always quote Lao Tzu, the great Chinese philosopher. Lao Tzu is my new, Lao Tzu is so amazing, my friends. So here, read out this one. Wait, now this is the new world. I have to see myself. Okay.
Okay. Nature does not hurry. Not everything is accomplished.
Oh man, Andy. Never take a native English speaker for these exercises. That doesn't work at all. And now we have a last one that was amazing. What was good was, of course, he paused between the words. And now, since the connection is sometimes slower, we have to do more pausing in the voice than on a normal stage. It is crazy. And the last one, let's take a, who doesn't speak English by birth? Jacqueline, Toastmasters Hamburg, is it Hamburg? Okay, Jacqueline, you're now online.
Hello.
Jacqueline, this is from the great one and only Mother Teresa.
Oh.
Just a second. With all the power you have.
If you judge people, you have no time to love them.
Okay, that was amazing. And that was clear, clarity, everything cool, but it was very German. If you judge people, you don't have time to love them. Check! So what I want now is that you say the same with the same clarity, but put all your emotions in the world that you have into that quote. With all the melody, all the intonation, the word melody. Say it again with a lot of emotion.
If you judge people, you have no time to love them.
You are really German, huh? That was much better. And now give it like it's the most beautiful. If you judge people, you have no time. Say it with all the heart that you have.
If you judge people, you have no time to love them.
In my club, there was, this is in general, a member of our club. She always used the same mechanical voice. And I always told her in the after meetings, in the virtual bar, when we have our toasties, I told her, you need more sex in your voice. You need more sex in your voice. And now she's speaking always like she's a machine, man. She's like Samantha from Sex and the City. Crazy. Guys, it is a new world and your voice has to be even clearer, more concise, more pausing, more diction, more use your facial, your muscles here. It's like a radio speaker. But you know that room because in a drive-through, when you ordered your 15,000th Big Mac, you knew how to do that. So don't tell me you don't know how to do that. So these are the 4 rooms. The 4 rooms, that was the bar, and it was the photo booth, and the elevator, and the drive-through. This is the new world, that's a big surprise to me because it's kind of the same like the stuff we already know. We just have to apply it. But when you look at the time, I have 2 more jokers for you. These are not places. But because I thought, since you have this thing here, the black hole empowers 2 things in online communication. It will boost your online charisma much more. So 2 things. The first joker. Look at this. Let's go to Simon. Siegfried, where's Siegfried? There's Siegfried. I unmuted you already. Siegfried.
Hello.
Can you tell the others what you're doing for a living, but as a 1 minute thing?
Wow. I help my customers to sell more by presenting better.
Yeah, keep going a little bit.
And well, I try to share my passion through that. So, oh yes, stop. I understood.
So for those who don't see me, because there are only 4 times 5, 20 on my, well, you see me because I'm the speaker. This is something new to all of us, something which we already know so well. I need a second volunteer. Now I take a volunteer to prove my point that I will tell you in a second. Is there a volunteer? Can you raise your hand? Anyone? Ramin Kave from Geneva. Very good. Okay, Ramin, do we hear you?
Yes, this is Ramin.
Very good. Tell me about your opinion about love. And I will give you an indicator for the time you can talk, okay? So what do you think about love? Start talking.
I think love is wonderful. I think it's deep. I think it's universal. I think it's the most human thing. I think it's natural. And
Keep going, you're doing a great job.
I think it's something we all have. It's probably a lot of people talk about it, and we have to get back to what the real meaning is, especially in these times of a crisis.
I'm burning my fingers. Can you come to an end?
Yes, and I think we need to find and realize global love.
Thank you so much. Your camera empowers your props. I've had the pleasure to evaluate 10,938 speeches in 11 years of corporate trainings in 15 countries. And I always said the same thing with offline stuff. Offline world, in meetings, presentations, keynote speeches, not more than 2, maximum 3 props. Because if you go over that, you turn into a clown. Chuck, 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 or a magician, you know, one after another. Impact goes down right away. Right away. And you want to use your props to support your message. You cannot support it with 25 different props. But online, this brave new online world, I learned it's completely different. This is Netflix, my friends. This is Netflix. I did 25 online sessions, and every day I use more props. It's crazy what you can do. I should have learned my Shakespeare lines. Any English here in the room? But this is, of course, Yorick. Now I can only say, hey, Yorick, how you doing? I don't know the lines. The question always pops up in my mind. Do I really want to be a young lemon, young and wild lemon, or a wise banana? And of course, I would never talk about Rethoric, the public speaking game that I co-created with John Zimmer, because I never do advertising online. I don't sell from the back of the room. I hate it. The camera empowers your prop. And I thought it's like Netflix. But yesterday, when I was sitting on virtually with Tobias and we had a red wine and we discussed the final things of this workshop, it was clear. The difference in props offline and online is one thing. When you're sitting at a district conference and you're late because in the morning because the night before was very long, you see, you don't see that joker. This is a big card, I know. But everyone sees it differently in the offline world. Your props, your visual aids in the online world, everyone has the same view, which is amazing for demonstration purposes and to give examples to support your message. This is a new world. And that's why now I use so much more props in my speaking. It's crazy. And it never gets boring. The effect doesn't go down. So I encourage you to use more props. That's the first joker. And the second joker. Are you familiar with the concept of calling the room, to call the room? Can anyone give me, it's a humorous pattern. Can you not? if you know call the room? I see some shaking heads. Are we in India or in Europe? That, of course, depends then. Ralph Dumpelmann, if you do that in India, it means a yes, right? Isn't it? Yeah. So calling the room for everyone who is not aware of this. Every time something unexpected happens in your room, and this is virtual rooms, but in your normal room, you have to call it. You have to make a reference. You share your most important line in the sentence, the message you put down in your, after John Zimmer's exercise, and you have it, and you're just about to say, fun needs hachi. And someone in the third row sneezes, and that person kills your message. Fun needs math. Imagine. So then amateur speakers, no. As a good speaker, you say, thank you for destroying my climax. This is calling the room. When a helicopter flies over your online meeting, you say, well, here at Amazon, we go in our new logistical ways. You have to call the room when something spontaneous happens. It is a humorous pattern. People laugh, it's spontaneous, it's charismatic, and people don't do that. But if you do that, here, with that camera, in this place, right now, it's the new nirvana for comedians. Because I don't have one room, I have 123 rooms. I see Carol Bowser, who looks more bored than a day in Spain without bread. I see Gancho Dimitrov with his nice background there. Oh man, and you don't morph. Do you have a green screen? This is amazing. Panos is always smiling. They put Panos, when he was born, they put the smile on his face, I tell you. Lisa Marie, very charismatic. Nasir Hauvarda, you see the entire house, it's amazing. You have 123 rooms. You have to call the rooms. People eat, people go, people have dogs there, people have cats there. You cannot let it go. You can't. So the last thing I want you to do here is, in the chat, I want you to go through the screens, and with a name, I want you to say something in the chat that you could call as a speaker. Like John, when I look at you, John, now you're in your nice neutral background again. This is great. And you see, now I look at John. Before I said, always look at the black hole. This is my German side. You have to follow rules. Always look at the black holes with your white energy. Of course, I live in Spain for 17 years. Sometimes I don't look at the camera because I need to call the rooms. I have to read the rooms. So I want you to write down here in the chat, 2 minutes, write down stuff that you see in the other rooms, what you could make a reference of, calling the room. Like for instance, yeah, you have to switch on your cameras. Starting with the 5th screen, I don't see Lorenzo Diaz, well, he's gone probably. Keith Sheldrake, all gone. So call the rooms. Richer. What could you call here? With Amar Visht, you can call nothing because he has his business CV photo. Aline Andreo, you look more pensativa, more thinking than the thinker himself. See, you can call it in many, many ways. I can see this guy. Yeah, for this one, I changed the room setup. I replaced the white by the blue. This is my son Alvaro's room. And now this I will use for all the video production because the blue is, yeah, recently painted. Carlo, this is great. Carlo Brozzo. Isn't getting hot in there? Or do you mean me? Oh yeah, Carlo Brozzo, the desert. Isn't it getting hot in there? You see, this is calling the room. You get the idea, my friends. And this is it. And I have now on Tuesday in Prestigious Speakers Barcelona, my club, we have our next meeting. And so far, this is 6 meetings times 4 speeches. You can stop now. You get the idea. That is 24 speeches I have witnessed in my club. Not one calling the rooms. Not one person. And it is there for you. You just have to pick it up and people will laugh. It is humorous. And this is where this joker empowers you in the online world. And now you have it. You can stop now. Yeah, I hate virtual backgrounds. Yeah, me too. But this is the bell curve. You know the bell curve? 2.28% always think you're crap. And 2.28% always think you're genius. When you hate something, be aware it's your opinion. Here we go. Stop now with that. And we come to the final block, the ending. Oh. Now you visit virtually in your mind, metaphorically, places you already know. And you know how to look at the camera, you know how to use your voice, you know how to move in an elevator, and you definitely know how to chat in a bar. And you even got 2 jokers, which I use a lot, props and calling the rooms. But you know what? You know what? There's a 5th place. There's a 5th place, and it's the same place, offline on stage, or here with you. It's exactly the same. And that place is called bedroom. It's the place of intimacy. It's the place of vulnerability, of sharing your inner self, of talking authentically of who you are, about the people you care for, about the connections you have. And this will not change whether it's here or there. So don't forget to enter the bedroom when you speak in public through that camera, because in the end, authenticity, as you know, will always beat all the other things of content and delivery in public speaking. And for all these reasons, all the stuff I shared now with you and together with you, I know one thing. My biggest fear of entering this world before the coronavirus, the online world, but putting on my sneakers like the mice in Spencer Johnson's Who Moved My Cheese and run and look for new stuff. It turned out to be a big surprise, a big positive surprise. And you too can surprise your people in your meetings, in your presentations, in your webinars, in your 25 YouTube live sessions. Surprise them. If you want something specific, I have nothing specific. You have the material, but surprise them. Because then, even if your business and your country is locked down, you will lock it up through the camera with your online charisma.
As I can be unmuted, I will also physically applaud. Thank you, Florian. How did it go, guys? I think this was the wildest chat I've ever seen during a webinar.
Can you copy paste it?
I think at the end, you can't copy paste it, but I think we can download the entire log at the end. So okay. Lorenzo is already on it.
Cool, because I needed to work on it.
Yeah. I mean, again, when the interaction is too wild, I don't get so many questions. So I will start with one and let's see if someone comes up with something else in the next 5-6 minutes. The one question I got at the moment is if you could give another example of how to use the depth of the video space.
This one here?
With movement and gesture, yeah.
Okay, before in John's Q&A session, the question popped up, sitting or standing. Those of you who know me from other conferences and workshops, I'm a stage monster. I'm an energetic person, I'm an extrovert, I need my stage. And here I decided I will always sit. For me, this here, the facial expressions, you know that this is the most important part. And the other day, I had to support with an infographic a medical doctor who works with geriatric stuff. So he publishes an article about how to deal with Alzheimer patients in the times of Corona when you all wear masks. So you don't see the smile. You don't see these muscles. You only see the eyes. So both, you need both. And when you're standing with the camera, if you don't have a really, really 900 euro pro camera with auto zoom that you put on your face, you lose so much when you stay away. Having said that, my friend Carsten Wendt in the other district, he just became the champion of district Belgium. It should be my old one.
59.
59, exactly. Well, we did a coaching thing on how to use his kitchen as a space. And for him, he had this microphone here and he came often close to the camera. He used it on purpose to use the space as a decoration for his speech, like being in a hospital. There was a hospital waiting room. And this worked wonders. But normally when I sit, I play more with little things like in an elevator with the space I have.
I think it's somehow related to this. A question pops up now, which is, in your opinion, the right distance from the camera?
I did an infographic on that. I always do infographics. And this one was the first. I have 3 examples. So this one would be like this. No, I don't want to crawl into your nostrils, my friend. So what I always do now is, look, I'm almost touching here. It's a little bit of space and I am like, I need this space. I need this space for my gestures. So with the camera, it's a good one. It's this Logitech 930C. It's one of those webcams, good. I have more or less 70 centimeters, more or less, to have everything.
Then 2 people asked if you can show again your microphone. In the meantime, I'm going to show again.
This was a tip. Are you all following our friend Connor Neal's leadership blog, Connor Neal? He's an amazing guy from Ireland, and he gave me this Rode tip. So Rode is this one here. But check Amazon, there are many of these. Rode is an Australian brand. They are now they are winners of the coronavirus. And this is the big benefit because, you know, John, can you put in the chat, are you still here, John? The thing that you put in front of a microphone, like the singers, to avoid this T, K, and P sounds. This is all built in here. The pop screen, thank you, John. You see, this is how we use the chat. You can use it on the spot and then interact. Interaction with an audience is much better. And this is very powerful. And I think it's not more than 200 euros. And this is very different from anything else I've done in the past.
Another question. Oh, sorry. Please go ahead.
No, keep asking, but I just see questions here.
Sure.
You're the moderator.
You said you use more props in the virtual setting. Will you like unlimit it completely, or you should still keep a balance?
Well, we can have a whole session. There are others here, very experienced speakers, and you all are experienced speakers, but the effect cannot go down. But I did these YouTube sessions, they were all 30 minutes, so I had an average now 30 to 37 minutes. I can put the link in there, in the chat in a second. And I used average at least 5 or 6. So there is no rule. You have to get a feeling for that. But I mean, what can I do? I mean, if I, just a second. I mean, you can talk about from 1 to 6, or you show the die. It is very different. And it is Netflix. I think it's Netflix. It's not getting boring to me, at least.
Very last one before I have to end over. How do you avoid the fake effect when you use gestures?
Oh, this is one of my favorite questions. How the fuck do you know what fake is? Pardon my French. This is the training mode. When I'm a keynote speaker, I don't use F words. When I'm in a training, I use F words. You have to break patterns. What is fake? I see you guys in the bars every time I look at all the people in bars. Don't you think they do this? Don't you think they do that in a bar? but on stage they tell me it's fake. It is not. And then you have always the bell curve. The bell curve, the Friedrich Gauss normal distribution statistics. It is like this. 2.28% are the haters and 2.28% are the lovers. And you have to gain 70 to 80%. What I know is that people normally bore me anyway. So you cannot get worse than level 0. And if I use my gestures, I'm more powerful, out of question.
I think that with this, we are definitely not satisfied, because I see the chat and I feel myself we could really go on forever. But I have to keep a good relationship with Lorenzo and with the organizers of the conference if I want to go to Crete next year for a physical conference. So I really have to hand over. I want to thank Florian for the session. I think this morning was really, really interesting. Everyone got a lot out of your webinars, Florian, John, and Luca. And also yesterday we had a great webinar with Kwong. So thank you all.